because I hit that button.
Oh
We're
yeah,
up.
there it is.
So
Got it.
we'll this is when we should just like engage in witty banter, before because I have to make sure that the show's actually streaming on
Okay, yeah,
YouTube.
sure.
So it's like, oh, witty banter.
Well, she was actually really good at the witty banter, actually, the two shows in Montreal.
All right, muting YouTube because I was just gonna say I just heard myself talking.
Mm.
Um, okay, well, we're gonna kick off. You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone. I'm your unofficial celebration tour correspondent, Stefan. And today on the show, we have bilingual comedian, singer, writer, and producer Tranna Wintour, who saw both nights of Madonna
Yes.
Celebration Tour in Montreal. Welcome to the show, Tranna.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm such a big fan of the show.
And I'm a big fan of your comedy. And yeah, I feel like we were just saying this before on the pre-show. But we feel like we know each other already,
Absolutely. I know
even though
your
this.
voice so well.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad
It
thing.
is a good thing.
I used to hate the way my voice sounded, and
No, no, you have a nice
doing this
voice.
show, I've had to sort of like get used to hearing it
Yeah, absolutely.
nonstop because I always listen back to the show when I'm slicing it together or whatnot.
Yeah,
So you gotta, like RuPaul says, if you don't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? So
exactly.
it's a lot of, self-love when we put ourselves out there into the world.
Always.
How are you doing today? Because I know that you have seen both shows, and I know seeing Madonna back to back 2 nights in a row is.
Well, we
Uh,
actually had a date in between.
oh, that's right. That's
So
right.
she did Thursday and Saturday.
Oh, right,
So
right.
it was really nice to have that recovery because the day after the first show, like I couldn't move, honestly. Like I was totally wiped out. And now I'm just trying to hold on to the magical feeling that I have felt the last couple of nights. Like the show is just so positive and joyful and life affirming. And I just want to live in that bubble for a little bit longer. And then there's
Yeah.
also another part of me that's sad that it's over. And I wish I could see it just one more time.
Yeah. Is that not possible for you? Is just like,
No, this is it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Sometimes I feel like I've been blessed to be able to see it as many times as I have, and yet
Yeah.
I'm seeing it again on Thursday in Philadelphia, and I have to keep reminding myself, Stefan, you're seeing Madonna this week. Like it's that Philly has seemed so far away that I have like
Yeah.
forgotten that it's
Well,
coming up.
I mean, I haven't forgotten this, but it felt really far away because I don't remember when the tour was announced. Was it like the spring of last year?
It was a year ago, like last week or 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
it was early in
Yeah.
2023 that it was announced. And I bought my tickets the day of. Montreal was supposed to be in August, which already seemed so far. And
Right.
then when everything was rescheduled, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be waiting forever. And I was so panicked that the Montreal show wouldn't happen. Like I was just so
Mm-hmm.
scared of it being canceled and it being January and winters in Montreal are crazy. And I'm
Yes.
like, what if there's a snowstorm that day and she
Yeah.
can't get into the city? And I could not allow myself to be fully excited until it really happened because I was so scared that it wouldn't.
Yeah, trust me. I know. So my co-host Liberty and I, we were meant to, as everyone knows, we were meant to go to the original opening night in Vancouver. And I think once that happened, where like I mean, we were 2 weeks out. We had our trip
Yeah, I
booked. Like
know.
hotel, flight, like everything was. We had our outfits, like, and then the rug got pulled out from underneath all of us,
Yeah,
and I think that did a little bit of now every show is like you're a little trepidatious, you're like
exactly.
and also because of Madam X, like Madam X, some of those
Yes.
shows they were canceled like mere hours before. Like people were in the venue and they were like,
Well,
nope, sorry.
exactly.
And I
And to
get
be
it.
honest, like, I think me and many fans, when the tour was even announced, felt like, does she even have it in her? And I was talking with my
Mm-hmm.
friend who I saw the show with last night, and we were reminiscing about that horrible Maluma performance,
Oh,
that she did at that big stadium. And it was like, if she had given us that, we'd be having a very different conversation. But I'm so happy that the show and the tour so far has been such a triumph. I'm so
mm-hmm.
happy.
I like to think of that Maluma performance as sort of like what when she was on the Arsenio Hall 10th anniversary, where she sort of like cavorted around with what's his face from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Anthony
Right.
Kiedis. You know, like when that lady is a tramp number, like to me, that's sort of the Madonna we got at the Maluma performance, where
Okay,
it was
that's fair.
a little more loose, not really rehearsed, you know, like just
Yeah.
sort of like, let's just have some fun on stage with
But
Maluma.
to me, it just felt like there were some years or, months where she just seemed to be a little bit like in a fog, you know?
Oh, okay.
And I feel like I was so blown away by how like sharp and precise she was in the show. And like, I really feel like she has just gotten all of her shit together, for this
Mm-hmm.
show. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad.
Yeah, and I can understand like my co-host Liberty, two things you said, where one, she was, her show, she's not seen it until Austin, which is the last two shows
Oh,
in the
wow.
US. So like she went from seeing the very first
Yeah.
show
Oh, that's rough.
to waiting to the very, very end. And she's, a teacher and a mom, and she doesn't have the
Yeah,
ability to like take off work or leave her
of
family
course.
to
I
go
get
cavort
it.
around and see other
No.
shows. But so there was that. And then she was a little scared that maybe the show wouldn't come to fruition for some
Yeah,
strange
exactly.
reason. Like we
But
didn't
yeah,
know,
we
like
didn't know. And but I'm so glad that it did because honestly, like this was my 11th and 12th time seeing her. I've
nice.
seen every tour since Reinvention except for Madame X. And honestly, I don't know if it's just because my previous concert experiences are so far behind me, but I really do feel like this was the most fun I've ever had at a Madonna show. Like there was just
Wow.
something extra special and I think emotional about it. Like I don't think I've ever been this emotional like at a Madonna show, like crying multiple times
Oh,
during both nights. Like I don't know, maybe it's because of everything that she has gone through these last couple of years and that feeling of is it going to happen, is it not, and then it happening in such a big magical way.
mm-hmm.
And I just think there is something so inherently badass about where she's at in her life right now and being able to do a show like this. Like it really blew me away. And yeah, even I mean, it sounds weird to say, but I just like I feel like proud of her, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because we all know, I mean, I was in fact talking to Liberty about this last night, where she didn't have to do this. Like
No,
she was on the brink of death, and she could have just woken up from that, medically induced coma and said, you know what, refund everybody, I can't do this, and
yeah, no, for
just chose
sure.
chose to rest and recover and live off her wealth with her kids for the rest of her
Exactly.
life. Like the
But
fact
I
that
think she's too addicted, honestly. Like I mean, and I mean, I'm not saying this necessarily with judgment, but like Madonna has always been a very ego-driven person, and I
sure.
think that like I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that in these last few years where her legacy and ability have been questioned, that there must be a part of her that wants to prove people wrong,
Sure.
and I don't blame her. And she has succeeded
Yeah, I agree. I think, but I mean, she's been getting that
her
since,
whole
like,
career.
it's ridiculous to think that,
I
like
know.
it'd be different if she hadn't gotten flack like that until now, where it was like,
Exactly.
but like the fact that we've had ageist comments about Madonna not being able to perform since
Since the
Girly
girly
Show,
show, I know it
like,
makes no sense at
I mean,
all.
she was in her 30s and
I know, I
people were like,
know.
pack it in, grandma, and I'm
It,
like,
I
what?
know it's just so ridiculous. And like obviously objectively, Madonna doesn't have anything to prove. Like she really doesn't, but I think she still feels it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we're blessed as fans to have her have that drive, because
Absolutely.
maybe if she didn't, she would just be like,
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly. But I
I'm not
do
doing it.
think but I'm happy that this tour exists because I do think that it not that it needed to happen, but it has re-cemented um who she is, her impact, her achievement. I mean, it was always undeniable, but I'm glad that if this is the last tour that we're ending the live performance career on such a high note.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I
I don't
mean,
want things to end for her like they did for Elvis. Like I don't want to
yeah.
see her like if that Maluma performance was the last performance we ever got, like that would be tragic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird conjecture to have where we're like, is this the last time she'll ever perform? Because, someone like Stevie Nicks is still performing and she's 72,
I know, but Madonna puts on a very particular kind of show. You know what
Correct.
I mean? And
So it might be the end of this spectacle type of show.
my speculation is that I think she's going to continue to extend the tour kind of the way that Cher did with her farewell tour. And I think she'll keep extending it for as long as she can and wants to do the show. And, because I can't imagine her stopping and doing a new tour in like 3 or 4 years from now that could top this. I don't see how that's possible. But I could
Although,
be wrong.
knowing Madonna, the fact that you were even challenging her on something like
I
that,
know
like
maybe she'll hear it and she'll do it.
if people are like, you know what, this is it for Madonna. She can't, I can't see her doing something that will be able to top this. And Madonna that we love will be like, just you wait.
Well, I'll never count her out. I'll never count her out. But I mean, even Tina Turner had to like, be like, I wanna end the live performance career. It doesn't mean Madonna's gonna go off into the shadows. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like I think most performers, especially those who are known as the best live performers of all time,
Yeah.
like you want to, you know, you want to leave people with the memory of how fucking good you were.
Yeah. I mean, there's something kind of fun to think of like Madonna at 70 just coming out and being
It's
like,
I
"Pow!" you
I
know?
know it's but there was even an element of that in this show. Like I appreciated that there were moments of sort of camp and humor, that were like kind of vampy and a little Mae West-esque. And like I love those moments in the show.
Yeah. Oh, well, and specifically as soon as you said that, I thought of the moment when the phone rings and it's
Yes,
Takesha.
exactly.
Like, because you go, and I love the transition from that because you go from the beautiful avant-garde uh modern dance choreography from Justify My Love, and it's heavy and serious and this, and
Yeah,
then all of a sudden she's getting a phone call from Takesha and she's laughing, and it's like, where have we gone? Like
I
it's this
know.
instantaneous transition, and I'm like, that's Madonna. Like
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
quintessential Madonna.
Yeah. And then going back to Bad Girl after that,
Right.
like that whole segment was just incredible.
Yeah. All right. So what were some of your standout parts from the show? I mean, you said you were crying a lot, so
I was crying a lot. I mean, I think the opening is beyond spectacular. Like after Confessions, I think this is the best opening, honestly. It's so powerful. It really feels like the Empress has like entered the temple,
yeah,
like it is
yeah.
epic and it just hit me, and the song lyrically, I mean, is the perfect summation of
hmm
her life and career. So it was just the most perfect opener. In Toronto, she did Frozen,
Uh-huh.
and I was gutted because I knew the set list. I've watched a lot before going to the show. I can't resist spoilers. Um, and Rain was the moment that I was the most excited for. And when I saw that she swapped it out for Frozen, I almost had a meltdown. And the first Montreal night, as soon as Ray of Light ended, I was like with my friends and I was just like, please rain, please rain, please rain, please, 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 please. And then rain started and I just started crying. Like I just freaked out. And both nights, I think it is such a stunning performance. And the way that the beat of the song is sort of beefed up, like it's
hmm
just so magical. Like it's not only a highlight for the show, but I feel like it's a highlight of all the times that I've seen her. I was just so blown away by that. Um, and last night, like Mother and Father really popped off.
Mm.
Like even with the audience, who I'm sure most of whom are not super familiar with that song, but it got such an amazing response.
hmm
And I don't know if it was her or like bringing a different energy to it than she did in the first night, but it really stood out last night.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've said it before. It's weird that she has mother and I mean, it makes sense in the context of the show that she puts
Yeah.
mother and father in there. But again, if you're saying it's a quote unquote greatest hits tour, that song shouldn't be there, you know?
Well,
Be
she's never going to do a conventional greatest hits tour,
exactly.
and even like, I mean, well, I don't know, like what, 30-40% of the show is the more minor hits than the bigger hits,
Yeah.
which I love, you know. I still think ending on Bitch I'm Madonna is a bit of a weird choice.
Hmm.
Like, I think it manages to succeed because it's so high energy and we have all the dancers in all of the costumes. But to end a show like this without like a massive sing-along hit is a bit strange to me. But I
I
enjoy
feel
it.
that's a very Madonna choice though.
It is, and I think there, and then there's another part of me exactly that feels like ending with Rain as like the final song, and then Bitch I'm Madonna as the encore is like pretty badass, you know?
Yeah. I because she tends to do stuff that we don't expect her to do. You know, like
Yeah,
everyone's expecting music will be the end or
which I
you know
still think it should have been,
or like give it to
honestly.
me or you know like and
No, I
just
don't
some of
want
those like
that.
some of the hands in the air anthems that she's ended before. Celebration even, you know.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "No, actually it's going to be this song," you know.
But it works just because of, again, the high energy nature of it and, you know, the lyrics. Like it does make sense.
Yeah.
And
I think
last night her veil got caught on one of the dancers' costumes
oh no.
and it sort of yanked it back a little bit. And you could tell she was pissed. And like she kept trying to like pull it back, but couldn't really do it. And so she just had to live with like some of her hair sticking out of the
Oh
veil.
no.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that was
whenever
like a
there's a
funny little
costume
moment.
malfunction that goes on during the show, you're always like, "Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a
who's gonna get
major
yelled
one.
at?"
She didn't even have to like she could have just not even tried to put it back, you know. It wasn't like that much hair was sticking out, but you could tell that it kind of bothered her, but she was also kind of laughing about it too at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's the other like I think the other moment that you get sort of like silly, goofy Madonna, other than the Tokisha phone call moment, is during "Bitch I'm Madonna." You know, like that from the moment that song
Oh my
starts
god.
to the end where she like pulls the veil over her face and starts descending, like the looks and facial
Oh
expressions
my
she's
god, I
giving,
live for it.
it's
Even on Ray of
amazing.
Light, like I, you know, I mean, I know that TikTok went viral and people were sort of like mocking her, but like I feel like she is giving us like kooky alien granny and I love it, you know? Like I don't know, to me there's something funny about it, but that I think is intentional.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I love also like, you know, at the end of I think it's at the end of Vogue. Or no, human after the human nature, like the bridge between like Vogue and like Human Nature and Crazy for You, like where it's like sort of the police raid,
Right, right,
and
right.
she's like, "Fuck you." Like we didn't do anything wrong. Like it's just so over the top and hilarious. Like it killed me both nights.
Yeah. I love that she has the little acting moments in the
Me too.
show.
I They kill me.
You know, like it's almost like it's like mini Madonna Broadway because,
Yes.
you know, like her trying to get into the club before a holiday.
But I
And
love that it's improvised, you know what I mean? Because like she doesn't say the exact same thing. Like,
no.
so I love that her and Bob, like especially during that like let me in the club moment, like it was different both nights, you know? So I like that someone who's usually as highly controlled as she is in her shows, you know, like I mean, she said it a million times, she never does anything on stage that hasn't been rehearsed like a million times. But like I like that she's leaving room for like these improvisational moments.
Yeah. I
And
almost
even the
wish that
speeches both nights were
yes.
different.
Yeah. Well, what did she talk about?
Well, the first night was more political, and last night was less.
Mm,
The first night was sort of like classic preachy Madonna, where she was like, "Let's change the world by lighting our phones up."
yes.
And then the second night, I felt it was more poignant because it just felt a bit more real. And the second night, she sort of left out the like change the world stuff, and she was just more about this idea of the ups and downs of life. And when you do find yourself in the darkness in your life, to turn on your light. And it just felt a bit more authentic and less preachy the second
Mm-hmm.
night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's had that sort of she's alternated between those two messages a couple of times.
Right.
I think some of the shows I've seen, it's gone from a bit more political and then
Yeah.
a little bit more personal.
Yeah, I guess it depends on her mood. But she was really playful, like in the speech before Express Yourself last night. Like she asked the audience, like, "What is poutine?" Which is like this dish that like Quebec is
Oh
known
my
for,
God,
which
it's
is
so good. It's so good.
it's a diner dish, you know, it's just fries, cheese,
I was
and
gonna say I
gravy.
call it disco fries. So
Yeah.
if you've ever been drunk at 2 a.m. in a 24-hour diner and ordered disco fries, that's
Yes, that's
poutine.
exactly what it is. So like there was that little moment, like she asked someone in the audience to tell her what it was, and
Oh, she
like
didn't know?
she didn't know. No, she didn't know, and she thought it was a drink. Or maybe she was just playing that she didn't know and just, you know, wanted to be funny. And I feel like, especially the second night, like she said it in the speech in the beginning before burning up and the one before Express Yourself, but like when she was thanking the fans for their support over her career and over just these last few months in terms of her getting, you know, her health back together, it seemed really genuine
Hmm.
for the first time. And like, you know, I've always found Madonna to be someone who doesn't genuinely appreciate the fans. Like, I think she kind of looks down at us and like thinks we're dumb for being fans. Um,
And why do you feel that way? I'm just curious.
because she just seems so unreceptive to the love, not dissimilar to Barbara Streisand, honestly. And I think that for people, to some extent, who grow up with a lack of warmth and affection, there's a sort of natural coldness, I think, that
Mm-hmm.
emerges. You know, I think that for people who sort of have those kinds of childhoods, it's harder to receive love and to let it in.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always felt the sort of coldness on Madonna's behalf towards the fans, especially when you compare her to people like Mariah or even Lady Gaga, who really take the time,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh,
And it's
I mean, I wonder oftentimes because there's sometimes, like a lot of people, I get messages from listeners who say, oh, I took a video of Madonna leaving the venue last night or, like leaving wherever she was at a dinner in New York or whatever. She didn't even wave to anybody or stop and say hello and I get it. Like I mean, she's been hounded by
No,
people.
that I get, but I'm just saying in certain circumstances, you know what I mean? Like when she's going about her everyday life, absolutely, she doesn't owe anyone anything. But I don't know. I just have always felt that like I don't know. I don't know how
Well,
she
but I was gonna say, I wonder if it's just that she doesn't know what to do with that. Like,
probably like again, yes, I agree. Like I don't think she knows how to fully receive that kind of love, you know?
yeah. Or I think also, I mean, she's been more famous for longer than she was not
Oh
famous.
my, I mean, yeah, we passed that point a long time
You know what I
ago.
mean? Like, I mean, she's been this goddess in the universe for so long now. Where I also wonder if it's maybe just like a self-protection thing, where she either it's like she can't expend that kind of energy, or she
Yeah.
doesn't want to like possibly put herself in a situation where it's a threat. Like because she doesn't know what people are
But
gonna
I
do.
think there is also like a meanness to her. You know what I mean? Like I know people who have been people who are, you know, substantial artists in their own rights who have been at parties and in rooms with her. I don't think she's the nicest person. And again, I'm not. That's fine. I love that side of her. You know what I mean? That's part of what draws me to her, and that's part of who she is. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
she says it in the montage, like I'm your worst nightmare. Like she is. She's our worst nightmare and our dream come true
And I think she
simultaneously.
also says that in the montage. You've never had more fun with anyone else, and you
Well,
know it.
exactly, and it's both of those things. And she is a polarizing person, and there are so many contradictions that exist within her and her work. And you know, and I love those things. And I'm not saying any of it like with reproach, but all to say just that last night, like that moment of gratitude felt very genuine. And there
Hmm.
is a warmth in this show that she's radiating and a joyfulness that I have not felt at any of her other shows, you
Yeah,
know?
it is. I can't like you feel like she's giving you a bit of a hug with this show.
Exactly. We have never been hugged by Madonna. You know, like
No.
that's like being hugged by like an ice sculpture, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but this felt like a genuinely warm embrace.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
it was just so nice.
I wonder if her hospitalization, maybe, her life flashed before her and she was just like, maybe she feels a little bit more genuine love towards just
I think so.
people.
And I think that like, you know, as hard as it is, like we know how much she loves live performance
Yeah.
and putting on a show. Like we know this. Like I forget which interview it was, but like she talks about how like anytime she goes to another artist show and she's backstage and she sees all the cases and everything, it just like makes her want to be out on the road. And so, maybe there's maybe every night there's just this feeling of like genuinely not taking it for granted, like the ability to do it and
Yeah.
experience it,
Which is
because
why I genuinely think we won't see the last of her on stage after this tour, because whatever iteration she decides to perform next after this, I think it would just be because she's a showgirl, She says that, she
well,
belongs
exactly.
on the
That's why I
stage.
have a feeling that this show is going to continue. And they'll, kind of like what she did with Sticky and Sweet, like
Hmm.
how the year later she did like a whole other leg. And I think there's, I, that's my prediction that there's going to be some sort of version of extending the tour, extending it. And then maybe in 3 years from now, there'll be a new leg that is really like sort of labeled like the last,
Mm.
you
Well, I mean,
know?
look at Janet Jackson. She just released, tour dates for the Together Again tour
Yes, exactly.
again.
So,
Like
exactly. So
she
I
she
didn't
was
think
she was doing it last year, and now she's bringing it back
exactly.
this year.
Yeah, which I don't know. That's my prediction, and I will obviously be there. You know,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
show is just so good. Like it's so jam-packed. And like again, I knew the set list already like the back of my hand, and I'd seen so many videos on YouTube. But nothing was spoiled at all. Like it was still magical and surprising. And I just can't believe how like jam-packed it is.
Yeah.
It's almost like by the end of it, you even forget that, like, oh my God, she did Into the Groove. She did Open Your Heart. Like you forget.
Yeah. And I wonder if, I mean, there's always me, like if she was to reboot this show, I mean, we have continually theorized that she's got new music coming. Like what would the boost be where she would come out with a new album and then she could go back on tour with some fresh music sort of
Yeah.
plunked in where she wants to change up the set list? Because obviously, if it was the same exact show, note for note, people might not want to go see it again.
No, exactly. But kind of like Sticky and Sweet. Like she changed up a good like three, four
Yeah.
songs. Like
I
I
mean,
think there's a
I would go even if it was the same exact show, but
but look at Cher, like she did it for 3 years and like 250 shows. And it
was that
was
the
basic.
farewell tour? It
Yeah,
went on for 3 years,
yeah, I went on for three
and
years.
now she's going back on tour, I heard.
Well, I mean, in the interviews for like the Christmas album, she's sort of hinting at like she feels like she has one more left in her, but nothing official yet.
Right,
But
but I mean, we all know
but I
that's
just
where the
feel like
money
if
is.
Cher, well, exactly. But I just feel like if Cher can do 250 performances of basically the same show over 3 years, if that's what Madonna wanted to do, like I think people would still go,
Yeah, I mean,
especially because this show has just like gotten rave reviews like across the board.
yeah, I wonder if she would change it, and maybe do stadiums and like a summer show, where
I hope it's just, like I love like everyone's doing stadiums now, but like what was so cool about this show too is that because the stage is so massive and covers like almost like the entire length of the floor, like it just I don't there was a kind of intimacy, even though it's an
hmm.
arena, like it just felt like no matter where you were, like there it was, there was something for everyone and there wasn't really a bad seat in the house.
Yeah, I don't know if it would work in a stadium. The setup would
I
just
don't
be,
think
I think
so.
the feel of the show would get lost.
Yes, I think so too. Um, but yeah, I really cannot get over how good it was. Like, and yeah, I just want to hold on to
Mm.
the feelings of this show. Like I feel so inspired. Like it's January, you know what I mean? It's a depressing month.
Hmm.
The world is a depressing place, and this really felt like such a magical escape. Like just to be in that bubble of the show. And again, like that getting that hug from her that we've never gotten before, like just feels so good.
Yeah, I'm excited. See, now you've got me excited for Thursday. Now I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm going again.
Yeah.
I get to get my hug from Madonna.
Yes, you're so lucky.
Do you know who the Vogue ballroom judges were each
I
night?
Well, so the first night was actually a friend of mine, El Barbara,
Uh-huh.
who is really like the queen of Montreal's ballroom scene.
Oh, nice.
Um, she's such I mean, she does so much for that scene and that community. and for the trans community in Montreal. Like Elle Barber really is a legend, and it was such a fitting choice. Like if it wasn't gonna be me, Elle Barber was like the perfect choice, and it made me so happy. And I cried when she was on stage. Like it
Oh,
was just such a
nice.
magical moment, and especially because for her it came out of the blue.
Oh,
Like she had no idea. Like she doesn't know how she got on their radar. Like, she thought the message that she got was like a scam. Like it just like none of
oh,
it made
interesting.
sense. Like it was so left field for her. So that was really, really special. And last night I don't know who it was. And at the end, when Madonna thanked the person by their name, I couldn't make it out. So I don't know who they were.
Oh, yeah. I hope that there's somebody keeping track of
Oh, I'm
like this.
sure there
I'm sure
is. There's
there's
probably
like
like
there's a Madonna site somewhere that has a running list. You know.
absolutely. And I think that's what's fun and interesting about like the like Canadian dates where like Madonna doesn't really have friends in like Toronto and Montreal. And I'm sure for some of like the smaller US cities is the same case. So it's like sometimes it's fans. Like I know in Toronto, like the second night was like a fan from the first night that she kind of had like a little moment with. So it's really interesting to see like who gets, because in Paris it's like Jean-Paul Gaultier, in Milan
Right.
it's Donatella, like, but in the smaller places, like, you know, it's interesting to see who gets up there.
Yeah, it'll be. I know. That's what I'm sort of like super curious to see. Like, I mean, obviously she's at Madison Square Garden this coming week, so
It's gonna, I
I'm
hope it's not Amy Schumer.
or like Anderson Cooper, like
Well, he was at the Brooklyn show and like she kind of like was throwing a little
oh
shade at him.
oh
But
to
yeah,
Andy Cohen, right. Yeah,
yeah.
she was like, but yeah, it'll be fun to sort of see because a city like New York, there's the cream of the crop. Like she could pick
Yeah, and it's
anybody.
all her friends, you
Yeah,
know. I hope she brings up Debbie. That would be cute.
she did. She brought up
Oh yeah,
Debbie.
you're right. I forgot. You're right.
Already she brought
Yeah,
Debbie
you're
up, but
right.
yeah, like it'll be interesting to see who comes up in some of the like like New York, LA, Miami, like those huge
Yeah,
cities.
exactly.
I'm like, who's getting chosen for Philadelphia? You know,
You already got on stage with her.
I know. I I would like you said, if it wasn't going to be you, you were happy El Barbara. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to be up for the ballroom scene. I would love to see somebody else have a Madonna moment and
Yeah,
enjoy.
yeah, I would imagine that it's still, I mean, I've heard you talk about it on your show and like, yeah, it's probably something that you kind of never get over, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at this point now, like I'll see a picture, I'll show a picture to somebody, be like, oh yeah, look, or like I'll
Yeah,
show people video, and I'm like, it just seems like a dream at this
I
point,
know, I know,
like it was so long
exactly.
ago where I'm just
Well, that's the
like,
thing with concerts and live performance in general, that it's just so ephemeral, you know? And like even last night, before the show started, me and my friend were just like, okay, we have to be so present. Let's just really
yeah,
take this in. And like you're almost trying to record it onto your brain, into your
yeah,
soul, but it's so hard to do. And like eventually the memories will fade, you know?
yeah, I know, but that's why we hope she extends, and then we can keep going,
I really hope so.
because if I mean, I'm telling you, if she does South America and she goes to Brazil, like I've never been to Brazil, so what a great opportunity to go.
Yeah, I have a friend there too, actually. Maybe that would be the right opportunity to go.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I haven't booked my summer trip yet,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Why not
maybe.
coincide it with the celebration tour?
Although we've had a couple Brazilians on the show talk about how like y'all aren't ready for what the crowds would be like
Oh no,
in
I know, and I
Brazil.
would love to experience that because even in Montreal, like the Thursday night, um, I mean, I only know this now in comparison, you know what I mean? But even at Thursday, even before Saturday, like leaving the show Thursday, I felt like the audience could have given a bit more. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like she did the like causing a commotion, you know,
Call and
single
response.
call and response, and like that audience on Thursday like did not know that song. Like
Oh,
me and my
come
friends were the
on.
only one in our section yelling back the lyrics. And I'm like, this is unacceptable. I'm like, you guys are embarrassing me in front of Madonna, okay? Like, get your shit together. Um, and but Saturday night, last night, the audience was on fire. And it felt like a totally different experience last night because of
Yeah.
that. But it's kind of great because Thursday I felt like I was able to really like not that I wasn't losing my mind on Thursday as well, but because of the energy, it just felt a bit more relaxed. So I was just more taking it in. And then
Hmm.
last night felt just like an explosive party,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
plus you're also, I think the first time you see the show, it's sensory overload. You know,
Yes,
there's so
exactly.
much coming at you that you're like, it's just that you're just there watching from moment to moment to moment to moment. And the second time you see it, you're able to like, it's not a surprise. So
Exactly.
you can appreciate the moments a little bit
Yes,
more.
exactly.
It's a bit of a richer experience. You know,
Yes,
like the first time you're just like, and then the
it's so
second time
true.
you're a little bit more calm.
Yes, I was definitely more calm for sure. For sure. Yeah, that's a good point. That's why I always go twice, you know? Like every tour that I've gone to except Reinvention, I've saw like at least twice.
Yeah, I
Once is
know.
never enough on a Madonna
I
show.
think I wanted to. Well, right, as you know, like Madonna says in Some Girls, too much is never enough. Uh,
Exactly.
I mean, I think, and I will forever, and I'll never forgive myself for this, but I think the only Madonna tour I've never seen more than once since I started going was Confessions, and I'm like, Stefan, out of all
Oh,
the
I
shows
know.
to see more than once, you should have gone and seen Confessions more than once.
Yeah, I saw it twice, luckily. But that was nuts. Like in for the Confessions tour, Montreal, there were only two dates and they were the only Canadian shows.
Mm,
So getting tickets to that was the most stressful
sure.
thing ever.
Yeah, fighting all of Canada, you know.
Yes, exactly. Because everyone was just like, you know,
Oh, geez.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm sure you're exhausted. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But before you go, there's a little segment on the show that we like to call the lightning round.
Okay, I was praying that you would do this.
Oh, of
I didn't know if
course.
you would. And
Oh, no,
this
no,
is
no.
one of my favorite segments of, well, I live for this segment.
Okay. Well, so
So I'm
then
very excited that it's
as
my
you know,
turn.
these answers are meant to be quick off the top of your head, wherever
Yes.
you're at in your Madonna journey. Don't think too hard. Favorite Madonna song?
The Power of Goodbye.
Oh, so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
I'm
Favorite
more of a
Madonna.
Madonna ballads person.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, Power of Goodbye. I would have loved if she'd like slotted that in somewhere.
me
You know,
too.
I think she's saving ballads for the ballads tour years from now. You know,
That would be my dream tour.
somewhere like maybe 75. You know, she'll like
Perfect.
be sitting on a very comfortable chair, just singing
That's my dream Madonna show,
ballad.
honestly.
You know, what would you like to hear from the audience? You know, and
Yeah, right.
it's just and 5, 4, 3, 2. You know, and then favorite Madonna album,
Music,
favorite Madonna music video.
rain.
Mm,
It's just so beautiful.
yeah.
It holds up.
It really, it's well, the cinematography is gorgeous.
It's just
She
stunning.
looks beautiful. Like, I mean, there's so many beautiful and like frame by frame.
Yes, exactly. Like it's just yeah, I'm just like drinking beauty watching that video.
Yeah, it's iconically gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
it's I miss those type of epic. That I feel like she deserves those type of videos all the time.
Honestly, even that song and like hearing it at the show reminded me that like Rain is just such a unique, special song. Like not just within her own catalog, but just even more broadly. Like there's not really, I don't even know how to describe Rain. It's just like,
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah,
It's
you
just
don't really
magic.
get like it seems like a very unconventional power ballad, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like if you like put it up against something like a 1990s Celine Dion or
Yeah.
Mariah Carey
It's
vintage.
not like that.
You know, like it
There's
doesn't.
something even there's like I feel like there's even an element of like new age in it, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah. It's
Like
like Enya.
yeah, a little bit. Like yeah, it's just such a special song and that video is
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Favorite Madonna tour.
Oh my God. But I honestly I'm gonna have to say the Celebration tour
Oh,
because it
nice.
was the most fun I've ever had at a Madonna show.
Oh, that's
And I've
amazing.
had a lot of fun at Madonna shows. They're always the best.
Yeah. Favorite Madonna movie.
Evita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was my intro to Madonna as a kid. Like I didn't even know who Madonna was. Like I didn't really have a concept of her, you know? And when I was 9 or 10 and that movie came out and I saw the trailer, I was just so instinctively drawn to it. And I
Uh-huh.
told my mom, like, I have to see that movie. I don't know why, but it was like this calling. And that's what made me obsessed with her.
Oh, interesting. And so you saw that movie, and then what was your
So I saw that
Did you
movie
just
and
like
then
tumble down a rabbit hole of Madonna?
yeah, so like I saw that movie. Then for my 10th birthday, my best friend got me the cassette soundtrack, and I
Uh-huh.
listened to that for months and months and months. And then I asked my mom if Madonna had any other albums.
Oh, that's
And
adorable. I love
yeah.
that. Does she have any other songs?
And then I got the Immaculate Collection. And then when I listened to the Immaculate Collection, it was like, oh my God, that's Madonna. And it was like, I
I
know that song,
see.
I know that song, I know that song. But I just didn't have an idea. I was still young and I didn't have that idea of like who the stars were, who the people were behind the songs,
Sure,
you
sure,
know?
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what a gift you were
Yes. What
given
a gift.
to be able to
Yes.
have basically like at that point, like 15 years worth of Madonna just like
Oh
descend
yeah.
upon
Oh my
you.
God. And then from that point onwards, it was like pure mental illness.
Favorite Madonna look, and this can be from a music video, a tour, a photo shoot.
Okay, I have to choose two.
Okay.
Um, her look when she sang Power of Goodbye on Top of the Pops and sort of like the whole Power of Goodbye promo era where she
Yes.
had like kind of similar hair to what I have right
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah.
Like I just thought she looked, I love that like dark ray of light, like 99 look, like Power of
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, nothing really matters, that era. And also for me, this is the ultimate one for me, is the Los Angeles Evita premiere when she's wearing the red Valentino with the like sort of tulip hat
Oh, it's so
and
good. The
the
little,
red veil.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
she has never looked more glamorous and beautiful. Like to me, that is just the most stunning she has ever looked.
Yeah, she turned out some looks for that
Well,
Evita tour.
honestly, and the Golden Globes, like that whole Evita premiere award season, like, but that Los Angeles premiere look in particular, every time I stumble across a picture of it, I'm just like, holy fuck. Like,
Yeah, I forgot about that look. I mean, not
especially when you
forgot, but
look
I
at
haven't I
her
haven't
in
thought
like,
about it in a while.
but when you look at her as that like, sort of like punky kid in the late 70s, early 80s, how did that person become the person on that red carpet? Like
Right.
that's an insane like transformation.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. It's when she puts on some glamour, and I don't
It's
feel like we've seen that
We
version of
haven't seen it
her
in a
in a
really long
long
time
time.
because
Like,
there was a time from like I think 2010 onwards where the red carpet looks became very costume. Like
mhm.
like when she did like the Marlene Dietrich look for the MDNA tour film premiere, and then like even at the like Billboard Music Awards where she's wearing like I don't know, just some weird thing that's not. It doesn't even look like real clothes. It just like looks
Right,
like a
right, right.
costume. I miss glamour Madonna big time because she pulled it out.
Yeah. I
She
mean, there was, I
rocked it
think
out.
like that big yellow dress that she wore to the VH1 Fashion
Yeah.
Awards. And oh, you know what though? I have a feeling there was like a Met Gala, like one of the most recent Met Galas she's been at, where she didn't she do a ball gown? I'm trying to think of what, like maybe for Rebel Heart, that was maybe like the most
Yes,
recent
yes, you're right.
glamorous.
And I do love that look. I think she looked beautiful that night.
But I think that
But
might
yes,
have been like the tail end of her doing like Hollywood glamour.
yes, exactly. And even then it was sort of like a little bit of an exception,
Yeah.
because she had already been so costume.
But no, it wasn't to the level of the Evita. The Evita, everything. Like, and I get it. She was trying to like weave
Be
into the
serious.
world of
Exactly.
Evita.
Exactly. She
Like
wanted to
she
be
was,
seen as a Hollywood actress.
yeah, she
And
was, and she was complimenting Evita's style at the same
yes,
time. Like
exactly.
Ava Perón was such an elevated style figure
Yes.
in the world. I think she was trying to like float along that. So
Yes.
because, if she wants voters to see her as that role, show up on the red carpet as that role.
Exactly. Also, I screamed when I saw Ava Perón's picture in the backdrop
Oh yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
the No Fear moment. I wasn't
Mhm.
expecting to see Evita's picture, and I just got so excited.
Yeah. Well, Tranna, thank you so much for taking the time. I love talking to you. This is great.
You
We should do
too.
this.
This was
We
such
should
a
do, we should
blast.
do this again. And tell
Yes.
tell everyone where they can find you on social.
On Instagram, TikTok, at Tranna Wintour. Yeah, as simple as that.
Nice. And remember, everybody, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to donate to the show, we're on Venmo at MLVC Podcast. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you tick that subscribe button so you never miss a video. I'll be going live with more people who are attending the celebration tour over the next couple of months. So you can tune in and watch and listen and hear wonderful thoughts like Tranna's. So.
Thanks.
Trying to stay where you are, but until next time, everybody, farewell. The power of goodbye.